Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Jesus Garcia. I am a solutions architect here at Abnormal, and I'm here with Ryan Schwartz, our senior manager of product marketing. And we would both like to thank everybody for joining us here live today as we kick off Abnormal's first ever Threat Stream webinar series. Threat Stream is designed for the security practitioners in the field, and every month, this team is going to break down real attacks that we see in the wild. We're going to show how they actually work and showcase how the abnormal platform can detect and automatically remediate against these advanced attacks. All right. Now, today we are going to be talking about direct send abuse, but let's see what else we got on the agenda for today. Please remember to ask any questions throughout the webinar. We have abnormal subject matter experts live with us today to answer any questions you may have. For this series, we are going to talk about direct send. And in order to better understand how direct send feature functions, we're also going to give you guys a high level view at third-party secure email gateway architecture. Following that, we're going to show you guys some case studies. We're going to show you guys some direct send abuse attacks that this platform was able to detect and remediate against. And then following those case studies, Ryan, he's going to take us live into the demo environment to showcase our platform's behavioral AI in action. And again, once things are wrapping up, if there are any remaining questions that we haven't addressed yet, we'll make sure to address those after the demo. But yeah, let's dive in. So what is direct send? Direct send is a Microsoft feature that allows the sending of emails directly from a device or application to a recipient's mailbox. This is via the company's specific smart host and is done without the need of a username or password. The direct send feature is enabled by default and doesn't require any third-party or on-premise SMTP servers, making the setup easy and ready for use. This feature, it's commonly used by MFPs and scanners for scan-to-email functions. And honestly, we all probably have these kinds of devices on our network. Like, ask yourself this, were those MFPs configured with credentials to send emails, or are they sending emails unauthenticated? Do you have any legacy applications or services that are sending emails without a username or password? Now, if the answer is yes, you may be using the direct send feature in your tenant. And the problem is most customers expect that all mail is inspected by their third-party secure email gateway. But unfortunately, direct send traffic, it never does. The Microsoft tenant is configured to accept emails via this smart host. Now, in order to better understand how this feature works, let me just give you guys a high level view of third-party secure email gateway architecture, or as I like to call it, life before abnormal. Now, here we see the customer setting up a third-party secure email gateway at the edge, at the perimeter for email security inspection, quarantining and acting on emails before they can get to exchange online. While the third-party SEG architecture is effective at blocking those 98 to 99% of email threats, it's the remaining 1 to 2% that poses the greatest risk. Just one of those missed emails can lead to financial losses in the tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, you're probably wondering, why are we seeing these exchange online protections disabled? And as third-party best practices are reviewed, we've come to discover that this is intentional. These manufacturers, they often recommend that IP reputation, spam filtering, and advanced threat protection features are either disabled or bypassed to prevent duplicate efforts. And here we see the direct send feature. Again, this smart host, it's enabled by default in Exchange Online, and it's configured via this direct send feature to accept non-authenticated emails from legacy devices like MFPs, scanners, or other legacy applications that need to be able to send emails without a username and password, meaning these messages are being sent directly to the Exchange Online smart host, and they're bypassing any MX records for the third-party secure email gateway. Now, The only problem with this is that, unfortunately, malicious actors, they are now abusing this trusted feature to send malicious payloads to your users' inboxes. Uh, they have figured out that direct send email traffic isn't getting inspected by the third-party secure email gateway. And with most of these Exchange Online protections disabled or bypassed, the emails unfortunately just flow directly to the user's inbox. Again, this is using the same trusted Microsoft infrastructure that is supposed to be used by scanners, and they're doing it without having to compromise a username and password, without having to steal a token. So you're probably wondering, how smart do these malicious actors have to be to figure out the smart host format? And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we are just making it a little too easy for them. All they really need is your email address. With your email address, they can then figure out the very predictable smart host format, and they can weaponize this information in PowerShell scripts, in Python scripts to send malicious campaigns to your users' inboxes. Malicious campaigns like this example here. On the right-hand side, we see an example of a malicious actor abusing DirectSend to send voicemail notification emails to our users' inboxes. Within these emails are PDF attachments, and inside these PDF attachments are QR codes. Now, the problem with QR codes is that they are often just trusted by our users. And I've seen this happen firsthand, where a user sees the QR code and instinctively wants to take out their phone and scan it without really verifying who is it that put this QR code in front of me, and where is this QR code trying to take me? Luckily for us, Abnormal has had the ability to decode QR codes and has been preventing malicious QR codes from getting delivered to users' inboxes since 2021. And Ryan, he's going to highlight malicious QR code detection and behavioral AI in action live in the demo lab after these slides. But while I have you guys here, let's just see, where is this malicious actor trying to take our users? Once this QR code is scanned, they are directed to a domain that is protected by a Cloudflare CAPTCHA. Now, third-party secure email gateways, they unfortunately rely on link crawling and URL analysis to determine if the URL should get blocked or not. Malicious actors, they're using CAPTCHAs to selectively hide payloads from non-human traffic because they know traditional URL analysis tools, they can't interact with them like a human. But you know who can? Our users can. Our users, they can pass the CAPTCHA test, and when they do, they are then directed to a spoofed, to a fake Microsoft login page. And this is just the malicious actors trying to take advantage of our users' familiarity with this login page. They're trying to entice them to enter their password into this page, and when they do, that does complete the malicious actor's credential phishing attack cycle and does result in account takeover. Now you're probably wondering, how is Abnormal able to detect these kinds of attacks when traditional tools can't? Abnormal is going to analyze tens of thousands of behavioral signals to understand how people normally communicate. We're going to use that information to automatically custom tailor a baseline of good communication for every single user in your domain. And here we see the importance of having that baseline of good communication. The platform sees that this email is coming from Germany, but Mary, she has never received an email that originated from Germany before. I agree. I also think that this is abnormal, but let's see what else this platform detected. Uh, the platform sees that there is an attachment. Within the attachment is a URL link that is guiding users to an external domain. On top of this, the platform also sees unusual email authentication statuses. So it can see that, hey, SPF is failing, DMARC checks are failing. For whatever reason, these sender authentication checks are failing, but the mail is still trying to get delivered to our user's inbox. And it's based on all of these combined signals that the abnormal platform is able to detect and automatically remediate against these kinds of advanced attacks. Here's another example of a different attack that we were able to detect and automatically remediate against. This attack was specifically seen in the SLED space. So state, local education, malicious actors, they're not just after the private sector. Um, Here we see malicious actors abusing Microsoft's direct send feature to make the email appear as if it was coming from a trusted internal government domain. Within the email itself, there are no words in the body. I mean, we do see a subject line, and we see an attachment that appears to be a calendar invite. Within this HTML file is an AES encrypted payload, and it was through this payload that it opened up a pathway for account compromise. Ask yourself this: how effective are those sandboxing and static signature-based scanning tools when the payload is encrypted? Yeah, they are not very effective. We know this. The malicious actors, they know this, and they're going to continue to send malicious campaigns that exploit known weaknesses. They're going to continue to compromise trusted infrastructure, and they're going to use it for nefarious purposes. So, what are non-abnormal customers doing about direct send abuse? On the left-hand side, we see some PowerShell commands that will block unauthenticated direct send traffic at the tenant level and force authentication. So again, if your organization uses non-authenticated direct send for legitimate purposes, running these PowerShell commands will cause those emails to get rejected. So exercise caution. Nobody wants to be the security guy that tells IT, hey, those 500 plus printers that you have on the network, if you want to continue to scan to email, you're going to have to update your SMTP configs with this username and password. On the right-hand side, we could see some other options. Very rare human, we got this from Reddit. He created a transport rule to reject and delete all direct send emails. Again, exercise caution with going down this route. You don't want to create this transport rule and get a call from IT saying, hey, none of my printers can scan to email anymore. Were there any changes made in the environment? Fastfish, he is enforcing email authentication with strict DMARC. So he's finishing his DMARC journey. He's getting his DMARC policy changed from a none to a quarantine or a reject. Really cool, created a transport rule that routes direct send emails to his third-party secure email gateway. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he's having a good time with that. But at the end of the day, if you notice, all of these options, they have one thing in common. They require the customer, the email security admins, to make global level changes in their environment to stop direct send abuse. Let me show you guys how abnormal customers are dealing with direct send abuse. Abnormal is going to automatically detect and remediate direct send abuse out of the box. So abnormal customers, they don't have to run PowerShell scripts or create transport rules to stop malicious abuse of direct send. We're able to do so because the platform takes complete ownership of every single email that gets delivered to the user's inbox. We provide organizations with defense in depth by adding an additional layer of defense, behavioral AI protections at the mailbox layer. And our API-based architecture gives us complete visibility of every email that would get delivered to the user's inbox. So it doesn't matter if the email flowed through the third-party secure email gateway, or if it went through the direct send smart host feature. It doesn't matter if the email was sent over two-factor authentication, or if it was sent non-authenticated, because at the end of the day, abnormal, we are not a secure email gateway. We focus on detecting and mitigating those 1% to 2% of threats missed by the SEG at the mailbox layer with our behavioral AI. And those behavioral detection models, they operate independently of upstream SEGs, allowing us to maintain high efficacy regardless of which secure email gateway is placed in front of us. 25% of our customers today are choosing to use this architecture where they use both a third-party secure email gateway and abnormal for email security protections, while 75% of our customers, they no longer have a third-party secure email gateway. Instead, they activate the Exchange Online protections that they are already playing, my mistake, paying for, and using abnormal combined together as their email security solution. So now that we've had this architecture overview, we now understand why Abnormal's API-based platform has visibility into all emails that would get delivered to users' inboxes. I'll now pass the mic over to Ryan in the demo lab so we can dive deeper live into the platform and see behavioral AI in action.
Thanks, Jesus. Please let me know if flew back from Falcon and suddenly came back to significantly worse Wi-Fi. So I apologize in advance. Let me share the demo environment here. But for those who had joined a little later, I'm Ryan Schwartz. I am our senior manager of product marketing. And I'm really excited to take us through a bit of what Jesus had talked about. Before I do, though, it was pretty funny to consider that Really Cool on Reddit was dealing with a situation that was not really cool. But anyway, let's dive into the demo. So I think what's interesting about these direct send attacks in particular is they're the mechanism for sending, right? As Jesus had outlined, there are multiple different tactics at the end there when it hits an end employee's inbox. The one I want to go through here is how we would unpack a QR code attack in particular. So if we look at this email that came from Elmo Financial, and it sent a document in this example to Catherine Smith, well, from Catherine Smith rather, to Jonathan Green, we can see that, and I saw someone raise their hand here. Oh, they put it down. We can see that, first off, we had stripped. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, we can't see your screen right now.
Oh, hold on. That's
It does
odd.
say
Let me try this again.
it says has started screen sharing, but it's still black for me.
Sorry, everyone, bear with me. I'm going to switch my internet. Hear me? If everyone can hear me.
We can hear you.
Fantastic.
I can
Okay,
hear you
let me
and I
share
can
real
see
quick.
you.
There we go.
There you go. See
There
your
we
screen.
go. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so going back into this here real quick, let me share a bit about this attack. So as I had mentioned, this is one that looks like it is ostensibly coming from Elmo Financial to Jonathan Green in this example, who's the CFO in this demo environment. We look at this, obviously we stripped out the attachment, but if we go to the attachment analysis, we can see that this is in fact a QR code attack. Now, the way that we analyze this attack is we're looking at the inbox layer and seeing this attack in that employee's inbox and analyzing, as Jesus had mentioned, the behaviors associated, in this case, 43,000 signals associated with that email. Some of those that really raise the red flag here are the unusual sender in this example. The email content itself is unusual because the link in the body, as you can see here, contains email addresses, which is a common pattern in credential theft attacks. And the email attachment contains a URL to an external website, which you wouldn't expect when it's supposed to be a document from Elmo Financial if the website is mismatched with that sender who's sending it to the recipient. And then, of course, exactly as I mentioned, the domain does not match any domains found in body links. So the first thing we're going to do, now we can't do it in this case because there is no text to analyze, but we would look at the text analysis and try to understand if this is maybe a different tone than is typically taken from Catherine to Jonathan, or we'll look at if there's an unusual sense of urgency, if there is, they don't normally talk about payment information, but we're not taking these in a vacuum, right? This isn't black and white binary pattern matching here. We're taking all of these different signals into account and making a determination whether this deviation from that normal behavior that we've baselined for this company is truly indicative of an attack, or it's just a regular anomaly in the day-to-day workings of the organization. And this one obviously rises to the level of us being able to say with certainty it is an attack. And some of the other reasons why, you can see we unpack the attachment here and we look at some of the sentiment in the email, and then we look at the attachment itself and see that this is pretty unusual domain. But beyond that, we're doing analysis of the sender identity, right? In this case, it was a mismatch. Maybe Elmo Financial does communicate with this organization pretty regularly with Enterprise Corp in this demo. But in this case, this might be a domain that has never been used for Catherine to communicate with this end organization. The other thing I'll note about that that's, well, notable is that even if this attacker had baked this domain for a few months, even if it passed all of these authentication checks, and you can see in this case it failed SPF, we will still see that this is an unusual domain because we're doing that identity analysis of previously used domains. We're also doing social graphing to understand, do these two typically communicate at this time about these topics? Does this vendor talk to Jonathan Green in this way? So there's that understanding of the exact behaviors around this email that help us determine that, yes, all of these different unusual events in concert are indicative of an attack. And if we want to dive a bit further, we can see exactly what led to that threat as well, or led us to that conclusion as well. So you can see the different vectors that we're analyzing these emails across, right? It's identity analysis. We're modeling behavior. We're looking at the header. We're analyzing communication patterns, content, payload analysis, of course, which in this case you can see is one of the biggest pieces along with identity because there wasn't much else in this email besides the QR code and the header and the sender. But you can see some of these other pieces that we're analyzing to give us this final determination that this was in fact a malicious email. Now, to relate it back to direct send, again, that's the mechanism. And a lot of the time that mechanism is sending these QR code type attacks. And you can rest assured that these are the types of attacks that we can detect because of our unique approach to looking for these malicious emails. We are looking at the behaviors surrounding them rather than just the typical indicators of compromise, because oftentimes these are, especially with direct send, this is a nascent attack type. And the tactics that are used are typically going to be never before seen attack types or attack tactics. And we need to be prepared for that. And the way to be prepared for that is behavioral AI. Now, with that, I do want to turn it over to Q&A. Looking in there, no screen share displaying. So I hope that I had fixed that pretty successfully. But if we want to, if anyone has any questions, please, we are open to answering them now. I think one question that I had seen is, obviously this was a very Microsoft focused session. But is there anything we can do to protect Google environments as well? And I want to be clear that while obviously direct send is a Microsoft specific attack, we do also protect Google Workspace just as much. Now, I imagine most folks on this call are coming because they want to know about Microsoft Direct Send, but maybe you have a Google Workspace tenant or you know someone who uses Google and they are having issues with phishing or malicious emails. We can protect those just the same. But please, any questions for Jesus and I? Give it a minute here. Oh, there we go. Looking through these questions. Jesus, feel free to jump in and pick any out too. We got a couple that just came.
How can we identify a report on direct send messages in the abnormal portal? So when those direct send messages are failing, they're going to be, we are going to automatically detect the malicious instances. When that happens, you're going to see that the sender authentication checks are failing, SPF checks, DMARC checks, those specifically would fail. And then you can also search for it via the local loopback IP address, so 127.0.0.1, and filter those statuses to get the direct send.
That's answer live. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, no problem. And then what's the other question here? Have you ever seen one where an invite was placed directly in someone's calendar without Defender or Abnormal recognizing it was attached to an email?
Oh, those calendar invite attacks, I'll tell you, they come up a lot.
Yeah, they do come up a lot. So yeah, we would detect the abnormalities on those calendar invites. But yeah, if they're being sent without an attachment, so it's not like an ICS attachment. So are you talking about like Gmail specifically, or I can follow up with you guys on
Yeah,
that
this might be
after
one to
we can
take off.
elaborate.
Oh, it looks like it was Outlook. This might be one to take offline, to be honest, because I know we have we're well aware of these calendar attacks for sure. I can say from the detection side, and I think we this might be something we want to get a broader perspective on to answer your question.
Yeah, we'll follow up with you on that one. So they're getting it into Outlook. Melissa, if you could just DM me your
But
email
marking
address, I'll
that
make
down
sure
as who
to
had asked, so
follow
we
up
can
on that.
definitely follow up. So I appreciate you asking because we can definitely get an answer for you there. Um, but with that, because we are coming up on time here a little bit, um, I think we are going to close this out. So on the next one, you'll get to talk to me again um, about business email compromise and how that can be addressed through AI. For those who are on the call who are abnormal customers, you probably already know a lot of what I'll likely talk about. But for those who aren't and want to join that session, please do. I'll make it fun regardless. And then we'll have Mike coming up after that to talk about cryptocurrency fraud on November 14th. So please join us. We're just kicking off this series, as Jesus had mentioned. We have quite a bit of threat intelligence, great threat intelligence coming from our threat intel team that we want to share with you. Share about how not only how we're detecting these, but how abnormal can help you stop some of these nascent threats that are out there. So with that, appreciate everyone's time on this session, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you.
Thank you guys.